Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace, mercy, and blessings of God be upon you. This is a new presentation from www.central-mosque.com and from the Humble Heart YouTube channel. And the topic today is Vaccination, Decluttered, and Declassified. Before we begin, some of the viewers of this channel are non-Muslims, but majority are Muslims. I would like to emphasize that you are not a Christian right-wing nutcase, and our religion of Islam has no axe to grind with science. We will follow the evidence and the facts wherever they may take us. It is unfortunate that much of the information provided on the internet, including some fatwa, is extremely old. For example, thimerosal or mercury is not even used in vaccines for the past 20-30 years in UK, and yet these Islamic websites keep talking about it, that vaccines are injecting mercury into your body. There is detailed information on the website on most common vaccines used in the UK. Link is in the description. Please read it. If you're going to argue, then at least argue using facts. When it comes to any kind of medication, it has benefits and it has side effects. I was prescribed a medication 2 years ago for a health condition which I've developed, and I'm supposed to be taking this medication. I didn't take it until about 2 months ago. It is critical that I made the choice not to take this medication, so you also have the right to take the medication or take the vaccine or not to take the vaccine. When it comes to vaccination, there's no such thing as pro-vax or anti-vax. These are labels and stupid concepts developed by right-wing Christian conspiracy theorists. It is a medication which you need to take after careful medical advice, considering the side effects, risks versus benefits. It is absolutely dumb to take a vaccine simply because it is available. Why would you do that? It is equally dumb not to take it when it's needed and it can save lives, and the side effects are manageable. Remember to be a Muslim and not a Christian right-wing conspiracy nutcase, and follow Sharia, follow Islam, follow what Allah and His Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam have said. So your blood actually has two kinds of cells: the red blood cells, which carry oxygen, and the white blood cells, which fight infection in your body. And when the germs enter your body, or your natural cells, when they die, you get sick. The macrophages are your white blood cells, which each eat these germs and the dead cells. They don't eat them completely, so what you're actually left with are antigens. The B lymphocytes in your white blood cells, they fight and destroy these antigens which are left behind. During the process, they develop a certain kind of memory. So when the same kind of antigen is basically confronted the next time, it knows what to do and it knows how to fight it. Your T lymphocytes are the cells which are the real engine of your immune system, and they fight cells in your body which are already infected. Once again, they develop memory. So when a certain similar infection is fought, or what it does, it develops memories and it knows what to do the next time it has to fight the same infection. People who have certain health conditions, maybe let's say diabetes or blood pressure, or are clinically obese, or have weaker or compromised immune systems, specifically their B lymphocytes and their T lymphocytes cannot fight infections. It is true for certain children with pre-existing conditions. It's also true for older people. Healthy people can fight off common illnesses like flu, while people with a weaker or compromised immune system cannot. I need you to understand that. It is critical to protect these vulnerable children or older people. Otherwise, even minor flu can cause lasting damage to their health. Normal, healthy, ordinary people, no problem. They can carry on. They have flu, they get sick for a few days, they get better, move on. Children with conditions or older people or people with health conditions, do not. You need to understand and get it why you vaccinate people. So, these people with weaker or compromised immune systems are usually vaccinated. What is a vaccine? A vaccine is basically nothing but a fake infection being put inside your body deliberately and on purpose. So when this fake infection is put inside your body, your B lymphocyte fights it, your T lymphocytes, even a bigger issue, fights it and gets rid of it. So when it gets rid of this on-purpose infection, it actually develops a memory. So you vaccinate somebody, they get some, it fights the infection, but because it is kind of an infection, you get flu, you get headache, but after a few days, your fever, your headache, goes away after a few days of a vaccination. But the most important thing here is your T lymphocyte now has memory. So when the real infection comes or the real disease comes, it knows how to fight it. That's all a vaccine is, a fake infection, deliberately developed, weakened fake infection introduced to your body. The question then becomes, right, why do you need multiple doses, or in case of flu, a vaccine every year? How come you get a booster dosage? What happens? Many, many, many reasons for that. Sometimes you need multiple doses or a booster dose to fully develop B lymphocyte and T lymphocyte memory. So you want to make sure, that the memory is fully developed. It knows how to fight the infection. Then, obviously, the memory of these cells to fight this infection gets weaker with time, for over 18 months or so. After 18 months, it gets weaker, and it just kind of doesn't remember how to fight that particular infection. Sometimes the memory lasts for a lifetime. Next, the space that these T lymphocyte cells have to fight that infection is limited. So the memory is purged. So your body deliberately forgets about it because it has to keep fighting new infections, new diseases, and so on and so forth. And it gets rid of it after 18 months or after a few years or whatever. Finally, the virus changes. The virus mutates. This is the reason why you need a new flu vaccine every single year, because it is a different kind of virus. So how does a virus create a fake infection in your body? So, there are many separate ways. I'm just going to talk about just the most basic ones, right? The basic and the oldest one is live attenuated vaccine. What that means is it's an actual virus but weakened and then introduced in your body to train your T lymphocytes to be able to fight this infection. An example of that is the MMR vaccine. The second is inactivated vaccine. So what it is, it's a virus which has been killed, cleaned up, still put inside your body. It's a dead virus. Once again, your T lymphocyte is trained and it knows, attacks that dead virus, gets rid of it. So when the real virus comes, it knows how to fight it. These are kind of older developments. These days, what they do is something called a subunit vaccine. What that does is it's either a part of the virus or part of the protein of the virus and not even a full virus. Same concept. It's introduced to your body. Your T lymphocytes, it identifies as, hey, what in the world is that? And it fights it, gets rid of it. And by fighting it, it develops the memory. Once again, when the real virus comes, it knows what to do. The latest COVID-19 vaccines coming out of China and Russia and even the Oxford British vaccine is a subunit vaccine. It uses something called partially a spike protein of COVID-19. These are cheaper to make. Transporting them is a lot easier and so on and so forth, right? So you usually use a spike protein of a virus. So what in the world is a spike protein? So this is coronavirus. Here is the spike protein of a coronavirus. In simpler terms, it is a hook which the virus uses to attach itself to the human cell. It attaches itself and then it does its job, try to damage your cell. But this spike protein is even recognized with the T lymphocyte. So if a spike protein is injected into your body or a new spike protein comes, your T lymphocyte, your immune system, your white blood cell recognize, say, hey, that doesn't belong to my body. I'm going to fight it. And once it fights it and it defeats it, it has the memory on how to do this again. Now, the latest Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine developed by the Muslim team, husband and wife, Turkish Muslim team, is actually brand new technology in terms of fighting viruses and vaccines. It is actually an mRNA vaccine. What this means is basically a small messenger RNA is introduced into a human body. These are nothing but a set of instructions. mRNA means messenger RNA. These are set of instructions. These set of instructions are injected into your body. It goes to your cell. The cell takes these instructions and it makes a spike protein. So it's not a virus, just a spike protein. And then basically your body gets rid of the vaccine, the instructions and everything else. Your T lymphocytes inside your body, your white blood cells, it says, hang on a second, where did this spike protein come from? This doesn't belong to my body. So what it does, it fights it, kills it, gets rid of it. There's no virus behind it. It's just a spike protein. When it does that, your T lymphocyte develops memory, and that's exactly what this COVID-19, in a nutshell, the Pfizer BioNTech or even the Moderna one, which is going to be coming in next, that's kind of what this actually does. Your cell develops the spike protein, your T lymphocytes fight it, get rid of it, and you now get the memory. The mRNA vaccines contain no virus or parts of the virus, or not even the spike protein. All it is just a bunch of instructions. So it has minimum side effects. It has side effects, but minimum one. So it is possible that the future vaccines for viral diseases and stuff may be mRNA based. Allah Ta'ala knows best, but it is going to become more and more common. So when we're fighting this coronavirus, this is probably the first test of an mRNA vaccine on people, and I can understand why people are nervous about it. So now let's touch upon conspiracy theories and why people are against vaccinations and what happens and so on. Are there any facts behind it? Yes, there are. So one of the oldest vaccines that we have around and one of the most successful vaccines we have are polio vaccines. I've said this in other videos. In my lifetime, when I grew up in Pakistan in the 70s and the 80s, in every class, villages, cities, there were children with deformed limbs, deformed hands, deformed legs, and that was because polio was so common. Polio is pretty much, either lessened or eradicated in many parts of the world, and that is because of the polio vaccine. However, this is one of the oldest vaccines, and it is live attenuated. So let me remind you again, what this means is it actually contains an actual virus which is weakened. So what they do is they inject this live attenuated polio vaccine into a child. Once again, your T lymphocytes wake up, they fight this weakened virus, they get rid of it, and it develops memory on how to actually fight the newer virus. It's a highly effective vaccine. But what happened in Africa and other parts, when your body gets rid of the vaccine, in any case, your body just normally, whatever you eat or drink or inject into your body gets rid of it. Your body gets rid of this live attenuated vaccine. But what happened in Africa, if you're living in unsanitary conditions, around the feces and urine of these children, the other children get this virus which was injected into a child. And because of unsanitary conditions, it started spreading. Okay. And this is called vaccine-derived polio, right? And in some instances, it is possible that this vaccine-derived polio, which you deliberately injected into the children for them to be cured of polio or not get polio, can actually mutate. So this is actually true, and it is happening. However, when you read the news on news media and stuff, they don't quite tell you, the entire facts around it. Now, the facts of this case are that since 2000, 10 billion doses of the polio vaccine has been administered. 3 billion children, 3 billion with a B, children have been injected with the polio virus. 13 million documented cases of children have been protected from polio. And 760 cases of this vaccine-derived polio has been tracked. Okay? Now, 13 million polio cases of children have been prevented. These children have their alhamdulillah, their limbs healthy and they are able to function. But unfortunately, 760 children have contracted this. This shows that vaccination and science is not perfect. 3 billion kids protected versus 760 infected are figures. Each and every child that goes through this tragedy, we shouldn't be talking about this in terms of numbers. It is a massive tragedy. Polio vaccine drives are usually sponsored by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they sponsor these drives in parts of Africa and Asia. So the name of Bill Gates is forever linked with all of the conspiracy theories about vaccination. But this is the fact, right? Polio, when they talk about polio, this is the case where in Africa and in many other parts, this is the only kind of polio which is found, which is basically vaccine derived, right? Because the real polio can be dealt with and it's gone. Why? Because of vaccinations. I am telling you, maybe younger people listening to this video have no idea what polio was like in the 70s and 80s. It was very common in Asia and in Africa and stuff. There were so many kids and stuff with deformed limbs because of polio. Doesn't exist anymore. So it is unfortunate that 760 of these kids have to live with this. However, no matter how inappropriate or politically incorrect it is to say it, this vaccine has indeed saved lives billions of times all over the world. Okay. Now, the last topic. Is vaccination halal or haram? To vaccinate or not to vaccinate is not a question for a mufti, but a question for your doctor and your decision depending on your health condition and risk factors. All a mufti or a sheikh or a maulana can do is talk about the ingredients being halal and haram. So let me explain this to you. The active ingredients in a vaccine can hardly ever be haram. It is either, the older ones, either a live virus which is weakened, or a dead virus, or part of a spike protein, or the latest one with an mRNA. It cannot be haram. It's impossible. So what happens? But in order to store this material, the vaccine, deliver it, transport it, inject it, or put the vaccine into the human body, you need other ingredients, and these are called excipients. Excipients. The latest Pfizer-BioNTech government-approved vaccine contains no animal ingredients or excipients. Once again, the page is in the description of this video. All the information that you need, which is common to United Kingdom, read it, make an informed choice. Do your research. You don't have to vaccinate your children or yourself or whatever, but for Allah's sake, get fact-based information and not talk about ridiculous thimarasal, mercury, conspiracy theories, etc., etc. Remember, this is your life, your health, or the life of your children, or the life of your grandparents, or whoever, and risk factors you need to measure, and you need to make an informed decision. That is all the purpose of this presentation is, to actually make you think, that you can actually talk intelligently on this topic instead of actually being swayed by disinformation. It is absolutely your right to vaccinate yourself or your children. Please make that choice wisely and with facts. Jazakallahu khairan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.